Hello, my name is Jeff. This is Castle Tutelage, your home defense network. A few weeks ago, I was watching a different channel. I've talked about him before. He does a very good job. Up and coming kind of a dude. Good knowledge. Sometimes I think the knowledge is misframed a little bit, where I have a different aspect of what the knowledge really is. And just because he has a different knowledge set doesn't make it him um, less of. Well, I don't want to even say that word. Just because he has a different knowledge base and uses a different wisdom set doesn't make him wrong. Again, it's just wrong for me. Again, if you don't know his channel, it's Jarhead 6. He does a very good job. A few weeks ago, he had a video about press checking, and I am totally against press checking. I think it is a waste of time and effort to remember to do that when you're taking your eye off the target or potential targets. I don't really see handling a gun more times as being necessarily good for it. And press checking is what I feel is for the undisciplined. And I don't, I, James Yeager, the guy is probably one of the better trainers in the United States today. When he gets into his political stuff or his other rants, I may not necessarily believe it. But when he trains you, you can basically take it to the bank. And I want you to listen to about a minute of this video that he just put out, I think it was last week sometime. And then we'll get into a little bit of why I think press checking is for the undisciplined.
Hey everybody, James Yeager Pep Response. Thanks for watching. Well, the inter-trainers on the interstate, on the internet, inter-trainers, they do a lot of funny stuff. And one of the things they do is the constant reholstering of an unloaded pistol. Don't do that, and if you're going to do it, let me tell you how to do it correctly. And what I mean by that is there's always this messing and mangling of guns and stuff like that, and clickies and the press checks and all that nonsensical bullshit. But the thing that bothers me the most is them training themselves to holster unloaded guns. That might be the constant need to fucking press check them all the time when they get them out, because they don't know if the gun in the holster is loaded or not.
Okay. And basically, I have the same view. There's only going to be two conditions where your gun is going to be. It's either going to be loaded or it's not going to be loaded. And it really depends upon the situation also. Just like when you dry fire practice, is imperative that you go to a room that never has a bullet. You never bring a bullet into a dry fire area. And you put a dot on the wall or a picture on the wall, whatever you want to do. And that's the only place that you want to dry fire practice a handgun. Drawing it out of your holster, presenting, slowly squeezing the trigger and go bang. The reason why you want to do that is because you want complete safety of having an accidental shooting where you are just anywhere in your house. You don't know if it's loaded or unloaded, and you're going to go press somewhere in the kitchen, and it goes bang, and you go, oh, something. I did actually have something, in the gun. When I come home, and if I unload my gun and put it into a safe, I am unloading the gun at the same place every time. Again, when I use that gun, I load the gun, make sure it's in working order in the same place in the house. I don't do it in the kitchen, dining room, garage, utility room, my kid's bedroom. I do it in the same place all the time because the conditions of the gun is going to be very, very important. Okay, so it's either going to be loaded or it's not going to be loaded. And James Yeager is right. You training to holster a loaded gun is silly. He goes on and says that he trains cops all the time. They come to the range, they empty a magazine, The empty magazine goes back into their pouch. You never put an empty magazine back on your utility pouch. You just don't do it. You put it in a pocket, you leave it on the ground. You want to have the same condition all the time. That is a loaded magazine in your mag carrier. Okay, you don't want to ever put an empty one in there. So if you leave the range and you're a police officer, but now you have your gun on, an empty gun in your holster, and you don't realize it until you pull that trigger and you don't hear anything, that happens all the time. He sees a lot of it in the training. I was at a training facility, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago now, where the trainer, wanted me to press check before and after each scenario. It's absolutely ridiculous to do that. Your gun should be in firing operation at all times. Press checks are for the undisciplined in my mind. The other thing that I'm really talking about on this is simple. There were 2 other guys who were doing press checks. They would take their gun out of the battery, and then when they're going in the scenario, their gun was out of battery when they're doing the press checks because it didn't seat properly. Anytime you mess with your gun has a more chance of something going wrong. Press checks have their value in some areas, but there's only 2 conditions that your gun needs to be in. When it goes bang and when it doesn't go bang. You do not need to have press checks if you follow what I said before. If you are a scatterbrain and you have your gun loaded here and unloaded there and over here, you don't know what is up, yes, you will need press checks. But if you load the gun, empty the gun in the same place every single time, and never load an empty holster, press checks are silly, just like James Yeager said. Yes, there was a swear word on there. You can swear in the comments. I don't care. But it's worse for you if you do, if someone ever does read it, because that goes towards your mindset. Okay. My name is Jeff. This is Castle Toolage, your home defense network. Press checks are for the undisciplined.